Hello friends. What happens when two fiery souls meet, both born under the blazing sign of Aries, yet shaped by two very different Chinese zodiac spirits, the calculating, mysterious snake and the loyal, passionate dog? This isn't just a clash of personalities, it's an entire universe of contradictions, magnetism, and untamed energy. Today, we're stepping into the cosmic laboratory to decode the deep and often explosive compatibility between Aries snake and Aries dog. They share the same Western zodiac, both ruled by Mars, both impulsive, both brimming with ambition and independence. But in the Chinese cycle, they're divided by nature. The snake is strategic, sensual, and secretive, while the dog is loyal, straightforward, and emotionally honest. It's fire meeting earth, cunning meeting conscience, desire meeting devotion. So how does this celestial experiment play out across love, marriage, friendship, business, and the darker corners of their personalities? After watching, if you'd like to support the channel, click the thanks button right under this video or use the donation alerts link in the description. Your support really helps me keep creating. And of course, if you enjoy the content, please give it a like and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Thanks so much for being here. Now let's continue. Love, the spark that burns too bright. When Aries snake and Aries dog meet, the universe seems to hold its breath. It's the moment when two forces of nature collide, each wrapped in fire, courage, and that unyielding Aries drive that refuses to settle for mediocrity. Their chemistry isn't soft or gentle. It's volcanic, fierce, and almost cinematic in intensity. The snake's gaze, dark and knowing, cuts straight into the dog's loyal heart, while the dog's warmth, sincerity, and earthy devotion feel like home to the ever-elusive snake. The dog sees something rare and magnetic in the snake, something that promises excitement, depth, and mystery. And the snake, who is used to being admired but rarely understood, senses in the dog an honesty that feels almost dangerous, because it threatens to disarm every defense it has ever built. Their love story begins fast, fueled by impulsive Aries energy and an irresistible attraction that feels fated. They text constantly, talk endlessly, dream together, and feed off each other's enthusiasm for life. They plan trips, share secrets, make promises under city lights or endless stars. The snake loves how the dog makes them feel secure yet alive. The dog adores how the snake makes them feel desired, special, and chosen. There's laughter, teasing, late-night conversations that stretch until dawn, kisses that feel like declarations, and a shared belief that what they've found is rare, perhaps even eternal. But passion alone, no matter how explosive, is never enough to sustain two such powerful souls. Over time, cracks begin to show. The dog's emotional honesty and constant need for reassurance start to clash with the snake's need for mystery and personal control. The snake lives in layers, never showing all its cards at once, never allowing full access to its private world. For the snake, love is a dance of fascination and restraint. It believes desire fades when everything is revealed too soon. The dog, by contrast, believes love should be transparent, safe, and loyal, with no games or veiled intentions. The result? A push and pull that can feel intoxicating at first but exhausting later. The dog might lie awake, wondering why the snake sometimes retreats into silence, analyzing every word and gesture. Are they hiding something? Do they still love me? The snake, meanwhile, might grow frustrated with the dog's emotional intensity, thinking, why can't they trust me without constant proof? Each sees the other through their own fears. The dog's fear of betrayal and the snake's fear of vulnerability. The dog needs verbal affirmation. The snake communicates through gestures, tone, and energy. This mismatch can lead to painful misunderstandings, where both feel unseen, unheard, and unloved. Yet, despite these tensions, the bond between them never truly breaks. There's a gravity to their connection that pulls them back again and again. When the dog walks away, the snake's calm mask slips, and jealousy burns quietly beneath the surface. When the snake distances itself, the dog feels the loss so deeply it aches physically. They orbit each other like twin stars, too different to merge, too magnetized to part. The challenge isn't love itself, it's learning how to love differently. For the Aries snake, love is about power, passion, and seduction, a psychological game of attraction that thrives on control. For the Aries dog, love is about devotion, truth, and emotional safety, a sacred space where hearts speak freely. If the snake could lower its walls just enough to show vulnerability, and the dog could soften its expectations just enough to give space, they could build a bond that transcends their differences. Because beneath their fiery temperaments, both crave the same thing: a love that feels alive, meaningful, and lasting. In arguments, sparks fly, literally. The dog's temper is hot but honest. It fights for resolution, not dominance. The snake, however, fights strategically. It can stay calm, even icy, choosing words that pierce rather than explode. This difference in conflict style can make or break them. The dog may shout to be heard, while the snake withdraws to avoid losing control. What the dog doesn't realize is that the snake's silence isn't always rejection, it's self-protection. And what the snake forgets is that the dog's emotional outburst isn't manipulation. It's love in its rawest, most desperate form. Their reconciliation, when it happens, is just as intense as their fights. They'll talk for hours, promise to do better, fall into each other's arms, and swear they've found their way back to balance. For a while, the world glows again. The snake feels cherished, the dog feels secure, and passion floods back into their world like sunlight after a storm. It's a cycle: explosion, distance, reunion, and though it can be exhausting, it's also strangely addictive. Both secretly love the thrill of surviving each storm together. Over time, if they both mature, this volatile pattern can evolve into something deeper. The snake begins to appreciate the dog's emotional honesty as strength rather than weakness. The dog starts to see the snake's complexity not as deception but as depth. They begin to speak each other's emotional language, not fluently, but with effort and grace. The snake learns that transparency doesn't mean loss of power, and the dog learns that mystery doesn't mean betrayal. When this balance is achieved, their love becomes not just bright but enduring, a partnership where passion and peace coexist. Still, there's always a thin line between love and obsession in this pairing. Both are Aries, competitive, proud, unwilling to yield easily. Each wants to be adored without appearing needy. The dog's loyalty can border on possessiveness, and the snake's charm can flirt dangerously close to manipulation. If they're not careful, love can turn into a battle for dominance, a fiery contest of wills where both want to win rather than understand. To survive, they must remember that true love isn't about control, but about surrender, the courage to let the other person be. In public, they're often admired as a power couple, magnetic, stylish, and unstoppable. Friends see the dog's loyalty and the snake's poise and assume everything is perfect. But what makes them fascinating on the outside is exactly what makes them fragile behind closed doors. They love fiercely but live on edge, always oscillating between ecstasy and anxiety. And yet, that's also what keeps the flame alive. For them, love without tension feels dull, lifeless. They thrive on the spark, even when it burns. To truly master their connection, they must learn to transform fire into warmth rather than destruction. The dog must realize that the snake's occasional silence doesn't mean absence of love, it often hides a heart too afraid to be broken. The snake must understand that the dog's emotional demands come from devotion, not control. When they see each other through compassion instead of fear, the spark that once burned too bright can evolve into a steady flame, a love that no longer scorches, but illuminates. In the end, Aries snake and Aries dog are destined to teach each other the paradox of love, that the strongest connections are forged not in dominance, but in trust, not in perfection, but in forgiveness. Their love begins as wildfire, chaotic, untamed, breathtaking. But if they nurture it, if they protect the ember instead of feeding the blaze, it becomes something far more beautiful, a lifelong warmth that can outlast every storm. Marriage, when passion meets partnership. Marriage between an Aries snake and an Aries dog is not a quiet affair. It's an ongoing odyssey of fire and faith, a living, breathing challenge that demands courage from both sides every single day. Picture a union forged between two warriors who admire each other's strength yet constantly test each other's boundaries. Both crave control, both crave admiration, both burn with a deep desire to lead. It's not that they don't respect one another, they do, but they each believe they know the better path, and that conviction can either unite them in greatness or divide them in stubborn pride. The first years of their marriage often feel like an adventure. Everything is new and exciting. Building a home, creating traditions, learning to share their worlds. The dog brings loyalty, structure, and the comfort of emotional consistency. The snake brings mystery, ambition, and the excitement of unpredictability. Together, they create a dynamic that feels alive, ever evolving, never dull. They push each other to grow, to reach for more, to dream beyond the ordinary. Yet beneath that shared fire lies an undercurrent of tension, because when two strong-willed Aries spirits live under the same roof, compromise becomes both the most essential and the hardest skill to master. For the dog, marriage means devotion, transparency, and teamwork. The dog wants to wake up every morning knowing they are loved, trusted, and part of a solid partnership built on honesty. They crave predictability in affection, and they offer unshakable loyalty in return. Once the dog commits, they are in for life, heart, body, and soul. The snake, however, approaches marriage like a strategist, always thinking 3 moves ahead. To the snake, love is a living system that needs maintenance and foresight. They analyze, plan, and sometimes manipulate circumstances to ensure long-term stability. It's not deceit, it's control through design, an instinctive desire to manage outcomes before chaos takes over. This difference in approach creates both friction and fascination. The dog interprets the snake's quiet calculations as secrecy, even deceit. Why can't they just tell me what they're thinking? The dog wonders. But the snake sees things differently. They view the dog's emotional transparency as naivete, a dangerous vulnerability in a world where not everything should be spoken aloud. To the snake, silence is protection, not distance. And so begins a cycle of misunderstanding. The dog asks for openness, the snake retreats into caution, and the more the dog pushes, the tighter the snake coils. Still, despite these struggles, something extraordinary happens when they find their rhythm. When the dog's sincerity fuses with the snake's wisdom, their marriage becomes unshakable. They are no longer two generals at war but co-commanders of the same dream. The dog's loyalty gives the snake the freedom to trust, and the snake's foresight gives the dog the security they crave. Their shared Aries fire transforms into a driving force, a relentless determination to protect and uplift each other. Together, they weather storms that would easily break less committed couples. Financially, they are a powerhouse duo. The snake possesses sharp intuition and a risk-taking spirit. It can sense opportunity before others even notice it. The dog, meanwhile, brings integrity, diligence, and a strong moral compass. The dog makes sure that ambition doesn't turn into recklessness, that success doesn't compromise values. This balance is crucial. The snake may want to leap into bold ventures, and the dog ensures those leaps are grounded in reason. If they respect each other's instincts, they can build immense prosperity, not just in wealth, but in stability and mutual respect. However, money can also be a battlefield if ego interferes. Both Aries personalities have pride. The dog wants to be appreciated for hard work and reliability, while the snake wants acknowledgement for brilliance and vision. If they compete rather than collaborate, financial success turns sour, leaving both feeling unappreciated. But if they remember that they're building together, their differences become strengths. One thinks ahead, the other executes with precision. In daily life, their marriage thrives on rhythm and ritual. The dog loves shared routines, Sunday breakfasts, movie nights, quiet evenings of laughter and conversation. The snake, on the other hand, injects spice into those routines, spontaneous trips, romantic surprises, small mysteries that keep the dog guessing. The dog grounds the snake in reality, the snake lifts the dog into imagination. This balance keeps their home both secure and exciting, a rare blend of stability and magic. But when arguments erupt, and they will, they can be volcanic. The dog's temper comes quickly, blazing with honest emotion. The snake's anger is colder, more deliberate, almost surgical. The dog shouts. The snake cuts with words or withdraws into silence. It's a dangerous dynamic if left unchecked because both are proud, and neither easily apologizes. For healing to happen, they must learn the sacred art of vulnerability. When the dog softens first, offering forgiveness, the snake feels safe enough to uncoil. When the snake lowers its defenses, the dog feels seen again. Forgiveness becomes their truest form of intimacy. The emotional endurance required for this marriage is immense, but so is the reward. The Aries snake and Aries dog can create a bond that feels like destiny when they channel their shared energy into growth rather than control. They are not meant for ordinary love, they are meant for a love that evolves, challenges, and transforms them. Over the years, the dog teaches the snake the value of emotional honesty, while the snake teaches the dog the art of patience and strategy. They become each other's teachers, healers, and protectors, building a shared story defined not by perfection, but by perseverance. Their home reflects their personalities, organized yet sensual, grounded yet stylish. The dog prefers comfort and familiarity, while the snake adds elegance and mystery, perhaps through art, scent, or music. Guests often remark that their home feels alive, as though every object tells a story. And indeed, it does, because every piece carries a compromise, a memory, a piece of both their souls. Over time, the fiery impulsiveness of early marriage cools into a deep ember glow. The dog remains devoted, finding peace in the snake's quiet strength, while the snake learns to relax its control, trusting in the dog's unwavering love. Together they mature into something rare, a couple that others admire not for their perfection, but for their resilience. Marriage for the Aries snake and Aries dog is not a fairy tale, it's an epic. It's a battlefield and a sanctuary, a place where both must constantly balance freedom with commitment, pride with humility, passion with patience. But if they succeed, if they can turn their shared fire into warmth instead of warfare, their marriage becomes legendary. In the end, what holds them together isn't ease, it's endurance. It's the choice, day after day, to stay, to grow, to fight for love rather than against each other. Their union is proof that real marriage is not about perfection, it's about partnership. And when passion truly meets partnership, as it does in the union of an Aries snake and an Aries dog, the result is not just love, it's alchemy, turning ordinary life into something eternal. Sex, the fire beneath the surface. Between an Aries snake and an Aries dog, physical connection isn't just chemistry, it's combustion. Their attraction doesn't whisper, it roars, the kind of pull that makes the air thicken the moment they're in the same room. Both ruled by fiery Aries energy, they burn with desire, yet express it in very different languages. The snake seduces through atmosphere and imagination, mastering the slow tease, the lingering glance, the unspoken promise. The dog approaches with a heart-on-sleeve passion that's direct, almost primal. When these energies collide, the result is a dance between control and surrender, intellect and instinct, tension and release. The Aries snake is an artist of seduction. Every movement is deliberate, every touch purposeful. This lover doesn't rush. They construct anticipation the way a composer builds a symphony, note by note, heartbeat by heartbeat. The snake knows that pleasure lives in the space between moments, in the drawn-out silence before a kiss, in the subtle game of holding back just enough to drive the dog wild. The dog, by contrast, thrives on raw energy. They express affection with enthusiasm and devotion, craving closeness that feels genuine and immediate. The dog wants to feel love as much as desire, to know that the physical act is an extension of loyalty and connection. At first, this difference is thrilling. The snake is captivated by the dog's sincerity, by how openly and honestly they crave. The dog is hypnotized by the snake's confidence, by the mystery that surrounds every gesture. Their early encounters are often volcanic, charged with curiosity, experimentation, and laughter. Yet underneath the heat lies a delicate balance that must be protected. The snake needs to feel free, unpressured, desired on its own terms. The dog needs to feel chosen, valued, emotionally safe. When one of these needs is ignored, the passion that once united them can turn into distance. Their sexual rhythm reflects the entire relationship, highs that are euphoric, lows that are confusing, but always transformative. The snake uses intimacy as both expression and exploration. It wants to know its partner's mind as much as their body. The dog uses intimacy as affirmation. It's proof of love, devotion, and mutual trust. When they are in sync, they create a physical world that transcends the ordinary, a place where vulnerability and power merge. But when insecurity intrudes, the air cools quickly. The dog, sensitive by nature, might sense emotional withdrawal and interpret it as rejection. The snake, protective of its autonomy, might view the dog's emotional hunger as pressure. For them, the solution lies in communication, a bridge that keeps their fire from burning out. The snake must learn that speaking feelings doesn't diminish allure, it deepens connection. The dog must learn that mystery isn't a threat but an invitation to explore. When they talk openly about what they crave and fear, the bedroom becomes not a battlefield but a sanctuary. The snake can then reveal its more tender side, and the dog can show its bolder, more imaginative spirit. Experimentation is another key to their long-term intimacy. The snake thrives on novelty and subtle psychological play. It finds beauty in change, in small shifts of mood, in reinventing passion again and again. The dog prefers rituals of affection, familiar touches, comforting rhythms that reinforce emotional trust. When they combine these instincts, when the dog dares to step into the snake's world of fantasy, and the snake learns to appreciate the dog's steadfast heart, they discover something extraordinary, passion that evolves rather than fades. Over time, their physical connection becomes a conversation without words. The dog learns to read the snake's silence, understanding that it often means focus, not distance. The snake learns that the dog's eagerness is not naive, it's love in its most honest form. Together, they craft a balance of heat and harmony, where every encounter strengthens rather than depletes them. Their bodies learn the same language their souls are still translating, one of mutual respect, curiosity, and devotion. What makes their chemistry so enduring is the constant sense of discovery. The snake keeps the flame alive through reinvention, new gestures, new moods, new layers of intimacy that reveal different sides of both. The dog keeps it grounded with consistency, steady affection, emotional presence, and the reassurance that no matter how wild the passion becomes, the bond beneath it is real. Each time they meet, it feels both familiar and new, like returning home to a place that's somehow been beautifully redecorated. Yet even their most perfect nights carry lessons. The snake sometimes hides behind sensuality to avoid emotional exposure, while the dog sometimes uses passion to demand reassurance. When either uses the physical to mask fear, the energy shifts. They must remember that their greatest strength lies not in perfection but in honesty, in allowing imperfection, laughter, and even awkwardness to coexist with desire. When they let go of performance and simply feel, their connection becomes breathtakingly human. For outsiders, their chemistry can seem almost mythic. Friends may notice the way they glance at each other across a crowded room, the electric charge that never quite fades. But only the two of them understand what it takes to maintain that spark: the patience to listen, the courage to adapt, and the trust to remain vulnerable. Their intimacy becomes a living art form, constantly shaped by who they are and who they're becoming. Ultimately, sex between an Aries snake and an Aries dog isn't just an act. It's a narrative, a dialogue between two powerful spirits learning how to blend strength with tenderness. The snake teaches the dog the poetry of seduction. The dog teaches the snake the beauty of emotional surrender. Together, they write a love story that's etched not in words but in heartbeat and breath, in moments that shimmer with both passion and peace. And when they finally learn that real intimacy is not about control or performance but about presence, about being fully seen, fully trusted, and fully alive, their fire doesn't just burn beneath the surface. It becomes the very light that guides their love forward, glowing brighter with every shared touch, every unspoken promise, every dawn that finds them still holding on. Friendship, loyalty meets intrigue. Between an Aries snake and an Aries dog, friendship doesn't begin with fireworks, it begins with curiosity. They meet as two souls who can sense both challenge and potential in the other. The dog, with its open-hearted nature and unwavering sincerity, is drawn to the snake's quiet charisma. There's something about the snake that feels mysterious, self-contained, even slightly intimidating, but fascinating all the same. The snake, meanwhile, notices the dog's warmth immediately but approaches with caution. Snakes don't befriend easily, they observe first. They study the tone of a person's laughter, the way they handle disappointment, the sincerity behind a compliment. Only when the dog's loyalty proves itself does the snake let down its guard, and when that happens, something rare and unshakable is formed. In the early stages, misunderstandings are common. The dog's eagerness to connect might feel intrusive to the more private snake. The snake's subtle detachment might seem like arrogance to the dog, who prefers openness and direct communication. Yet underneath those misreads lies a perfect complementary balance. The dog teaches the snake that vulnerability isn't a weakness but a bridge. The snake teaches the dog that patience and observation can reveal truths words often hide. Their dynamic becomes a masterclass in emotional intelligence, two strong personalities learning to synchronize without losing individuality. The dog is the kind of friend who shows up in crisis, no questions asked. They'll drive through a storm, sit in silence beside you, defend you when others doubt you. For the dog, loyalty isn't optional, it's sacred. Once they claim someone as pack, that bond is lifelong. The snake, though less demonstrative, matches that devotion in its own way. They protect with strategy rather than sentiment. If the dog is the one standing beside you in battle, the snake is the one planning the escape route, anticipating every move the world might make against you. Together, they form a friendship that's both emotional and intellectual, built on trust, depth, and shared fire. When the dog is overwhelmed by emotion or anxiety, the snake becomes the calm in the storm. Its natural composure steadies the dog's heart, offering rational perspective without judgment. When the snake withdraws into solitude or cynicism, the dog coaxes it back toward connection and laughter, reminding it that not everyone in the world needs to be tested before being loved. The friendship becomes a balance between idealism and realism, between heart and mind. They don't bond through constant chatter or surface-level fun. Their connection deepens in quiet conversations, shared challenges, or unspoken understanding. The dog might tell the snake things it's never confessed to anyone else, trusting in the snake's discretion. The snake might share insights and fears it rarely voices, knowing the dog will listen without exploitation. Over time, this friendship becomes their safe space, a rare corner of the world where both can drop the masks they wear for everyone else. Arguments between them, though rare, are intense. Both carry that Aries fire, direct, passionate, unwilling to back down when conviction strikes. When they clash, it's usually over values, honesty, loyalty, fairness. The dog, ruled by moral integrity, can't stand what it perceives as manipulation or emotional distance. The snake, preferring subtlety and nuance, gets frustrated with the dog's black and white worldview. Yet, their fights seldom destroy the friendship because beneath every disagreement lies genuine respect. Once tempers cool, both sides realize the bond matters more than pride. The snake secretly admires the dog's courage, the way it defends loved ones with fearless loyalty, the way it refuses to give up even when betrayed or hurt. The dog admires the snake's composure and intellect, the way it can analyze any situation, turn chaos into clarity, and move forward with purpose. They might express appreciation differently, the dog with words and actions, the snake through consistency and quiet gestures, but both understand the depth behind those differences. Together, they form a friendship that evolves with time. In youth, it's driven by adventure and curiosity, two Aries spirits exploring life with energy and humor. In adulthood, it becomes a pillar of stability, a source of emotional and strategic support. Decades later, they'll still check in on each other, offering the kind of advice and comfort only they can understand. The dog might still tease the snake for overthinking, and the snake might still roll its eyes at the dog's idealism, but beneath that banter lies genuine affection. What makes their connection enduring is its foundation of respect. The snake values the dog's honesty, the rare purity of someone who means exactly what they say. The dog values the snake's wisdom and ability to see beyond immediate emotions. Each helps the other grow in ways no one else could. The snake learns empathy, the dog learns discernment. The friendship becomes not just a bond but a mirror, reflecting both strengths and blind spots, helping each evolve toward a more balanced self. They complement each other in practical ways too. The dog, dependable and diligent, helps the snake stay accountable and consistent. The snake, visionary and strategic, pushes the dog to think bigger, to see possibilities beyond the obvious. Whether they're collaborating on a project, navigating a shared dream, or simply offering advice, they make each other better thinkers and better humans. Their shared Aries nature means they both love challenges. They might compete playfully, at work, in sports, in debates, but never maliciously. Each respects the other's fire. The dog's victories bring genuine joy to the snake, and the snake's achievements inspire pride in the dog. Their rivalry, when it exists, only sharpens their mutual respect. Even in silence, their friendship speaks volumes. They can sit together for hours without words, content in shared energy. The dog's presence reassures. The snake's gaze reminds the dog to stay wise and aware. This kind of comfort is rare, an unspoken language of trust forged through time and tested through conflict. And when life inevitably changes, when careers shift, relationships evolve, or distance grows, they remain constants in each other's worlds. The dog might send a message after months apart, thinking of you. The snake might reply with a simple, always. That's their rhythm, steady, understated, unbreakable. Ultimately, the friendship between an Aries snake and an Aries dog is proof that differences don't divide, they deepen. It's the story of fire meeting calm, of heart meeting mind, of two souls who teach each other that strength isn't just in passion, but in patience. Once trust is earned, nothing can shake it, not time, not distance, not disagreement. Their connection becomes one of those rare friendships that outlast circumstance. They may argue, grow apart for seasons, even question each other, but they always return. Because deep down, the dog knows the snake's loyalty runs silent but deep, and the snake knows the dog's devotion may bark loudly, but it never fades. In the end, their friendship is a testament to what happens when loyalty meets intrigue, when honesty meets mystery, and when two very different hearts decide that understanding each other is worth the effort. It's not an easy bond, but it's a lasting one, glowing with the quiet strength of souls that have truly seen and accepted one another. Business, brains and backbone. When an Aries snake and an Aries dog step into the world of business together, the room seems to shift. The atmosphere becomes electric, charged with a sense of ambition and quiet authority. These two are not meant for mediocrity, they dream in empires, not paychecks. Yet while their potential is limitless, their success depends entirely on one delicate thing: balance. The snake and the dog each bring extraordinary gifts to the table, but if they fail to align their visions, their shared fire can either forge gold or burn everything to ashes. The snake is strategy incarnate. This is the mind that sees the chessboard 10 moves ahead, that reads competitors' weaknesses with surgical precision, that knows how to turn charm into leverage and intuition into timing. In meetings, the snake speaks softly but commands the room. People lean in, sensing that behind every measured word lies an entire plan already in motion. The snake operates like a master illusionist, revealing just enough to inspire confidence but never enough to be predictable. It's this mystery, this magnetic poise, that often draws clients, investors, and partners toward them. The Aries dog, on the other hand, is the beating heart of integrity and endurance. Where the snake calculates, the dog commits. Where the snake strategizes, the dog executes. The dog's moral compass points true north, and that authenticity becomes their greatest currency. In a world of half-truths and fleeting promises, the dog's sincerity is a rare and powerful asset. They build trust effortlessly because people sense they mean what they say. They work harder than anyone else, not out of pride, but because loyalty, whether to a person, a project, or a purpose, is sacred to them. Together, the Aries snake and Aries dog are a blueprint for brilliance. The snake crafts the vision, the dog makes it real. The snake sees opportunity where others see obstacles, while the dog transforms those visions into tangible achievements through sheer persistence. When aligned, they can build organizations, lead movements, or create businesses that outlast them both. The snake's mind designs the architecture of success, and the dog's steady hands construct the walls that hold it together. Yet, as in all powerful partnerships, their greatest strengths can also become their biggest liabilities. The snake's tendency toward secrecy can clash painfully with the dog's obsession with honesty. The dog wants clarity, meetings where everything is on the table, plans discussed openly, motives transparent. The snake prefers strategy in shadows, revealing information only when it's useful or safe. To the dog, this feels manipulative. To the snake, it's simply smart business. When trust falters, suspicion grows, sometimes silently, until it poisons the air between them. The dog may start to feel used, sensing that the snake makes decisions unilaterally. The snake, meanwhile, might view the dog as rigid or emotionally reactive, someone who can't play the long game. These tensions can erupt during moments of stress, when profits dip, when competition rises, when a key decision demands absolute unity. It's in these moments that their Aries pride becomes both armor and danger. Each wants to lead, each wants to be respected, and neither easily concedes. Without careful communication, partnership turns into power struggle. But when they find harmony, the result is extraordinary. Imagine the snake crafting a brilliant negotiation strategy, predicting every counteroffer before it's made, while the dog stands as the moral anchor, ensuring every decision aligns with ethical principles. Their combination of intellect and integrity makes them unbeatable. The snake draws success through charisma and foresight. The dog sustains it through credibility and consistency. Clients trust them, teams follow them, investors sense stability wrapped in vision, and that's a rare, irresistible blend. Their working rhythm must be built on trust and role clarity. The snake should lead in strategy, research, and negotiation, arenas where calculation and subtlety thrive. The dog should oversee management, operations, and human relations, areas requiring emotional intelligence, patience, and fairness. When they respect these natural divisions, their productivity skyrockets. The dog becomes the structure, the snake becomes the spirit. The dog ensures everyone's treated right, the snake ensures everyone wins. Communication is their lifeline. They must learn to speak each other's language, truth wrapped in tact. The snake must resist the urge to withhold, to test loyalty through silence. The dog must resist the urge to confront impulsively when trust feels shaky. Instead, they must learn transparency without threat, strategy without secrecy. When they do, they operate as a single, unstoppable force. One brain, one backbone, one unbreakable mission. Financially, this duo often prospers because they balance risk and responsibility perfectly. The snake's instincts for timing, knowing when to expand, invest, or pivot, are uncanny. The dog's careful budgeting, ethical management, and long-term loyalty protect their shared ventures from collapse. The snake sees the next horizon. The dog ensures they don't lose the ground beneath their feet. Together, they can create wealth not just in money, but in legacy. Yet both must beware of burnout. Aries' energy drives them to push limits constantly, to work late, chase perfection, and measure worth through achievement. The snake's obsession with control can lead to overcalculation, while the dog's devotion to duty can turn into self-sacrifice. They must learn to rest, to celebrate victories, to remind themselves that success without joy is failure in disguise. Over time, their business partnership becomes a metaphor for trust under fire. They'll test each other countless times, through crises, betrayals, missed opportunities. But if they survive those tests, the respect they earn becomes legendary. The snake learns that honesty can be a form of strategy. The dog learns that secrecy can sometimes protect the bigger picture. Each tempers the other's extremes, turning weakness into wisdom. In leadership, they shine. The dog inspires loyalty through example, working harder than anyone else. The snake commands admiration through vision, showing others the bigger dream. Together, they build teams that follow not out of fear, but out of faith. Their Aries fire makes them bold, their combined loyalty makes them unforgettable. If they ever part ways professionally, both will feel the absence sharply. The dog will miss the snake's cunning brilliance, the snake will miss the dog's steadfast reliability. Yet the mark they leave on each other's careers, and on everyone who worked with them, will remain. They might move on to new ventures, but the lessons they taught one another will echo in every decision, every partnership that follows. Ultimately, the business relationship between an Aries snake and an Aries dog is not just about profit, it's about purpose. It's about learning to merge intellect with integrity, ambition with honor. When they get it right, they don't just succeed, they redefine what ethical power looks like. Their partnership becomes proof that empires aren't built by domination, but by trust between equals. Because when the snake's brilliance meets the dog's backbone, the result isn't chaos, it's creation. It's the moment fire stops destroying and starts illuminating. And under that shared light, they can build anything, from a company to a legacy, that will stand the test of time. Dark sides, when fire turns toxic. When an Aries snake and an Aries dog turn against each other, it's not a quiet unraveling, it's a storm that shakes the walls of their world. What once burned with passion now burns with fury. The same energy that once drew them together like magnets now repels them with equal force. There's an eerie poetry in how their strengths become their undoing. The snake's self-control morphs into cold manipulation, and the dog's loyalty hardens into obsession. They don't just argue, they wage emotional war. The snake's darkness lies in subtlety. It doesn't explode, it constricts. When hurt or cornered, the snake retreats into an icy composure that feels like abandonment to the dog. Behind that stillness, however, is strategy. The snake begins to calculate, to twist emotions into tools, to test the dog's devotion by pulling away. Every silence becomes loaded, every gesture deliberate. The snake knows exactly how to provoke confusion, how to use charm as a weapon, and how to control through withholding. It's not cruelty for its own sake, it's survival disguised as power. The dog, meanwhile, bleeds emotion. When it senses the snake's withdrawal, it panics. It becomes clingy, demanding, moralistic. The dog's inner code, the belief that honesty and loyalty fix everything, drives it to push harder, to interrogate, to demand clarity. But the snake interprets this intensity as suffocation. The more the dog seeks truth, the more the snake hides it. The more the snake hides, the more the dog suspects betrayal. It's a vicious feedback loop, a dance of mistrust that tightens with every turn. Arguments between them are volcanic. The dog doesn't argue to win, it argues to be understood. But the snake doesn't argue to connect, it argues to dominate. The dog shouts truths in desperation, while the snake replies with surgical sarcasm, every word cutting deeper than the last. Their fights aren't just about the issue at hand, they're about power, identity, and control. Each believes they're right, each believes the other should yield. Neither does. When wounded, the dog can become passive-aggressive, the silent martyr who uses guilt like a leash. It stops speaking but lets its disappointment hang heavy in the air. The snake, sensing emotional pressure, grows colder, wrapping itself tighter in its armor. What once was love turns into psychological chess. The dog guilt-tripping, the snake gaslighting, both convinced they're the victim. It's a tragic spiral, a slow erosion of the tenderness that once defined them. In this toxic phase, both become exaggerated versions of their worst selves. The dog, usually a protector, turns controlling. It starts policing the snake's tone, timing, and truth. It needs constant reassurance, constant proof that love remains. The snake, once a master of emotional nuance, becomes detached to the point of cruelty. It withholds affection, keeps secrets, and manipulates just to regain the upper hand. Each is terrified of losing control, yet the harder they fight for it, the more control slips away. Jealousy becomes another ghost haunting their bond. The dog's imagination runs wild, who else has the snake's attention? The snake, insulted by accusation, might flirt or withdraw further, feeding the dog's fears instead of soothing them. The tension between exposure and secrecy becomes unbearable. Conversations that once brought clarity now feel like traps. Every truth becomes suspect, every silence dangerous. The Aries fire that fuels them both intensifies everything: anger, pride, desire. Neither forgives easily. Apologies feel like surrender, and surrender feels like death. The dog wants emotional resolution, a heartfelt talk, a promise, a confession. The snake wants peace on its own terms, quiet, control, and escape from scrutiny. So they circle each other like predators and prey, switching roles with every argument. One moment, the snake's manipulating, the next, the dog's cornering. They exhaust each other, yet can't let go. When the resentment festers too long, the snake's manipulation deepens into cruelty. It begins to test boundaries deliberately, showing indifference just to watch the dog break, withholding intimacy to measure power. The dog, desperate for validation, might play victim, using guilt to trap the snake emotionally. What they once built with passion turns into a psychological tug-of-war, where neither wins but both lose something essential: their self-respect. The worst part is how well they know each other. The snake knows exactly which buttons to press to make the dog unravel. The dog knows precisely which silences cut the snake deepest. Their intimacy becomes ammunition. Every shared secret, every vulnerability confessed in love, becomes a weapon in conflict. They don't fight fair because they know too much. Their relationship can, at times, resemble a battlefield of mirrors, each projecting their insecurities onto the other. The dog's fear of abandonment reflects the snake's fear of exposure. The snake's manipulation mirrors the dog's control. They start to see the other as their own shadow, the embodiment of everything they can't stand about themselves. And in that reflection lies both tragedy and truth. They are mirrors of each other's wounds. If left unchecked, this toxicity can consume them entirely. The snake retreats into emotional exile, seeking solace in work, secrecy, or other connections that don't demand vulnerability. The dog drowns in emotional turmoil, oscillating between fury and despair. Both begin to justify their actions. The snake calls it strategy. The dog calls it love. Neither recognizes the slow corrosion happening beneath the surface. But here's the paradox: their salvation lies in the very thing they both fear: vulnerability. The snake must risk being seen, shedding the armor of control and admitting its fear of rejection. The dog must loosen its grip, learning that love isn't proven through interrogation but through trust. When they drop the masks, even momentarily, something extraordinary happens. The air clears, the fire softens. They remember the tenderness that drew them together, the laughter, the fascination, the unspoken bond of two Aries souls who once believed in each other. It's not easy to get there. It requires humility, a foreign language to both. It means the snake saying, "I'm scared too," and the dog replying, "I don't need you to be perfect." It means silence without manipulation, honesty without blame. But when they reach that point, they rediscover the power that first made their connection magnetic: passion tempered by empathy. If they can learn to turn their fire inward, to burn away ego rather than each other, they can transform toxicity into transformation. The same intensity that once destroyed them can become their salvation. Because beneath the pride, beneath the pain, both the snake and the dog want the same thing: to love without losing themselves. And maybe that's what makes their darkness so compelling. It's not evil, it's fear. Fear of being powerless, fear of being unseen. Once they understand that, forgiveness becomes possible. The snake softens, the dog exhales. The war ends not with victory, but with surrender, not to each other, but to truth. In the end, their story of darkness is not one of villains and victims, but of two warriors learning that strength without vulnerability is just another kind of cage. And when they finally step out of that cage, bruised, wiser, still burning, they realize the fire that nearly destroyed them was also the one that could purify them. Life goals, different roads to the same summit. For the Aries snake and the Aries dog, life is not a casual journey, it's a mission. Both are driven, ambitious, and fiercely committed to living with purpose. But what separates them is the way they define success, and what drives that hunger within them. To the snake, life is an art of mastery, of self, of circumstance, of destiny itself. To the dog, life is a vow, a promise to something larger, whether it's family, community, or a moral cause. One seeks control, the other seeks connection. Yet both are climbing the same mountain, just from opposite sides. The Aries snake walks its path with quiet intensity. Every decision it makes is strategic, every goal chosen with long-term precision. Success, to the snake, is about autonomy, the ability to move freely, to create, to command one's own fate without interference. It wants influence, not applause. Its victories are often invisible to others, subtle wins built over years of observation and patience. The snake doesn't chase the spotlight, it builds the stage. Its ambition isn't loud, but it's relentless. It's the kind of soul that can reinvent itself a dozen times, each version sharper, wiser, more in control than the last. The Aries dog, on the other hand, chases meaning more than mastery. Its drive comes from the heart, from a burning desire to be useful, loyal, and anchored in purpose. The dog's idea of success isn't measured in trophies or status, but in contribution. It wants to belong to something it believes in, to fight for ideals that matter. The dog would rather serve a cause with integrity than rule an empire built on deceit. Stability, community, and moral clarity are its north stars. When the dog achieves, it celebrates with others. When the snake achieves, it celebrates in solitude. When these two come together, whether as partners, friends, or allies, their differing life philosophies can either create extraordinary synergy or profound misunderstanding. The snake may see the dog's idealism as naive, questioning why one would sacrifice personal ambition for collective good. The dog may see the snake's self-interest as selfish, wondering how someone so brilliant can live without a guiding purpose beyond self-evolution. Their conversations about life's meaning are often long, passionate, and filled with both admiration and frustration. Yet, beneath those differences lies an incredible complementarity. The snake teaches the dog the art of detachment, how to preserve one's energy, how to say no, how to pursue personal excellence without guilt. The dog teaches the snake the beauty of connection, how to trust others, how to serve something larger than one's ego, how to find fulfillment not just in control, but in compassion. Together, they balance each other's extremes. The snake tempers the dog's tendency toward martyrdom, while the dog softens the snake's isolation. When united toward a shared purpose, they become an unstoppable force. Imagine the snake's intellect and foresight combined with the dog's dedication and endurance. One crafts the strategy, the other powers it with faith and action. The snake envisions, the dog executes. The snake persuades, the dog inspires. Their collaboration can lead to achievements that neither could have reached alone, not because they mirror each other, but because they complete each other. The challenge, however, lies in mutual understanding. The snake's solitary pursuit of mastery can look cold to the dog, who craves emotional involvement and shared victory. The dog's moral absolutism can feel restrictive to the snake, who thrives in nuance and flexibility. The dog lives by right and wrong. The snake lives by effective and ineffective. And yet, both share a core Aries trait, an indomitable will to move forward, no matter how steep the climb. In their careers, these differences manifest vividly. The Aries snake often becomes a strategist, entrepreneur, or visionary, someone drawn to independence and intellectual challenge. They succeed by trusting their instincts, reading trends before they exist, and using charm as currency. The Aries dog excels in roles that require loyalty, responsibility, and leadership rooted in ethics, law, education, service, or management. Their satisfaction comes from integrity, from being the protector rather than the manipulator. Both seek respect, but for different reasons. The snake wants admiration for its brilliance. The dog wants gratitude for its reliability. Spiritually, their paths diverge yet again. The snake finds peace in solitude, meditation, and introspection, mastering its inner world as it masters the outer. The dog finds peace in community, faith, and love, through shared purpose, belonging, and emotional authenticity. One connects upward, through self-mastery, the other outward, through devotion. But both, at their core, are searching for the same thing, meaning. Their shared Aries fire gives them courage to keep pushing, even when life tests them brutally. The snake's response to hardship is to withdraw and analyze, to transform pain into wisdom. The dog's response is to stand firm, to fight for what's right even when exhausted. When life knocks them down, the snake rebuilds quietly, the dog rebuilds loudly. Both rise, always. Their resilience, though expressed differently, is equally awe-inspiring. When they set long-term goals together, whether building a family, a business, or a shared dream, their journey becomes an intricate dance between freedom and responsibility. The snake needs to feel unbound, able to explore its intellectual or creative pursuits without being tethered. The dog needs assurance that their union has roots, that they're building something lasting and meaningful. If they can find the balance between movement and stability, between independence and interdependence, their partnership becomes a living example of what balance truly looks like. The danger, of course, comes when they misunderstand each other's motives. The snake may assume the dog's loyalty is a form of control. The dog may mistake the snake's independence for emotional detachment. But when they learn to see the truth, that one's craving for freedom and the other's craving for security both come from the same place, a desire to protect the things they love, the conflict dissolves. Respect replaces judgment. Their goals may differ in form, but their essence is aligned. Both want to matter. Both want to leave a mark on the world. The snake wants to be remembered for its brilliance, for the elegance of its mind and the power of its transformation. The dog wants to be remembered for its heart, for its integrity, for the lives it touched. And in that shared longing for legacy, they find common ground. As they grow older, the snake often learns to slow down, realizing that mastery without connection feels hollow. The dog learns to let go of rigidity, realizing that serving others doesn't mean neglecting oneself. They meet in the middle, wiser, humbler, and deeply aware that success is not a single summit, but a landscape of many peaks. Together, they climb them one by one, sometimes hand in hand, sometimes alone, but always with mutual respect lighting the path. Their story is one of evolution, two souls teaching each other how to blend purpose with power. The snake learns that true control comes not from manipulation, but from self-awareness. The dog learns that true service comes not from sacrifice, but from strength. When they integrate these lessons, they stop being opposites and become partners in transcendence, different roads leading to the same summit, meeting at the top where vision and virtue finally embrace. Because in the end, both the snake and the dog want the same thing: to live authentically, to love meaningfully, and to leave behind something that lasts. One will carve it in marble, the other in memory. One will whisper its legacy through ideas, the other will live it through example. And though their methods differ, their summit is shared, a life of purpose, passion, and impact, forged by two hearts that refused to settle for ordinary. Final thoughts: a love that demands growth. So, are Aries snake and Aries dog truly compatible? The answer isn't simple, it's both yes and no. They are mirrors, reflecting each other's best and worst traits. When things are good, they're unstoppable. When things go bad, it's chaos. But through struggle, they grow. This is not a fairy tale pairing, it's an evolution. The snake's depth helps the dog mature emotionally, while the dog's devotion helps the snake rediscover trust and warmth. Together, they learn that love isn't about control or perfection, it's about growth through contrast. In the end, Aries snake and Aries dog are like two flames, too bright to exist without burning, yet too beautiful to extinguish. If they can master the dance between passion and patience, their union won't just survive, it will transform both souls forever.